going to do now is introduce you to an old friend, but we try not to see one another more than every 18 years. And Eric Geiler is the friend I wanted to talk about. What we're going to do here is continue a conversation we started here this morning. And I just thought you'd like to hear it and learn what Eric is up to. I said 18 years ago because we have a mutual friend who's very generous. And for his 50th birthday, he invited a group of nearly 100 of us to come with him and his wife to Cabo to have a wonderful weekend. So if you're smart enough to have rich, generous, nice, old friends who invite you for their 50th birthday to Cabo, that's why we know it was 18 years ago, because he just turned 68 last week. But we had a wonderful time then, and I was thrilled to catch up with Eric this morning to learn what he's doing. Eric went to a little school out in Pittsburgh called Carnegie Mellon. Then he went to another little hardly known school here for his master's at HBS. He's an entrepreneur, he's an inventor. He has over 35 patents, inventor patents. He's been around imaging, he's been around telephony, he's been around all kinds of technology. Built companies, advised companies, sold companies, taken companies public. He's basically sitting around on his hands not doing much of anything most of the time. But he has a new company, and I think relative to the subjects we'll be covering today, I think you'll be interested in the company's business. Eric, set the table for us in terms of medical imaging today. What are our options? This is all new science, right?
Yep. So, Jim, thanks for the invite to this, because I really didn't know, and I thought, wait, the boss invited me to a cool conference here, and it was, it's very relevant. So OmniZair imaging, by the way, Omni, all, Zair is Slavic for illumination. And
we knew that.
Yeah. Started company with a MIT PhD physicist who had worked with for many years, who came up with has been working on a new technology called dielectric tomography to basically, it's a new form of medical imaging. Here's an interesting statistic. This is World Health Organization. 2/3 of the world, of the population of the world, has no access to medical imaging. And I live here in Boston. I mean, it's like we just assume. CTs.
So what are they now? You have X-rays?
X-rays, ultrasounds, CTs, MRIs, PET scans. I mean, all of that stuff. 2/3 of the world's population. What if everybody could have it? That's the simple elevator pitch of OmniZair imaging. And the reason that people don't have access to it is very simple, it's the cost. And we've developed the technology, and I'll say if it works, we think it works because we're working on it, could reduce the cost to 1/100th. So if a machine cost $1 million, this is $10,000, right? I mean, think about how disruptive that could be.
Portable too?
And it's portable.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things I got to see as a little side note to today's thing, I've been on the developer list for this thing that Vive is making called an inside-out tracker. It's not part of the demonstration, but
You've been on the developer list hoping to get one.
Yeah, getting my hands on one of these things, so I was able to get a picture.
So
I take it back to show. They have one next door that we'd like to use for a handheld imager. But we're targeting areas of where scientists have known for decades that if you can measure the electrical properties of human tissue, X-rays or gamma radiation, MRIs rearrange water molecules basically magnetically. CT scans are forms of X-rays. PET scans use radioactive tracers. All these things have safety implications too.
Not only for the patient, but for the administrator.
Oh, very definitely. And imagine so it's not just 1/100th of the cost, it's also 10,000 times safer than anything else, because the level of energy that we're using is about 1/1000th of your cell phone. So the things that you're carrying around on your person right now, we're using the same basic frequencies that are used in routers and cell phones to transmit into the human body, but it's at 1/1000th of the energy level.
We have an OBGYN in the front row here. How could this imaging technology change health?
So, not clear. It's a platform technology. We're orienting it first. The first area, one of the first areas we looked at is breast imaging, because it's an uncomfortable test. It has a lot of false positives and negatives due to the nature of the way the test is constructed. So that's one area that we think would be a very good one to take a look at.
Just before we came out here, you talked about our friend Dr. Jonathan and what he's doing
Yeah.
with Parkinson's. Any application there?
Yeah, so looking at this, I immediately got two little things for me to look up. The first actually was on the liver, looking at, when we were talking, I said, have anybody ever measured the dielectric properties of liver? I was curious because of cirrhosis, and it turns out.
I was thinking the same thing.
But I just sat there Googling on my phone, and I thought, we had not looked at that. What an interesting idea that scientists have known for a long time. The problem is, the only way to do it is to take part of your liver out, which, as we learned, was quite a painful process. Imagine if you could do that from looking outside to inside the body and measure that same property. On the Parkinson's front, I didn't, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. The dopamine has different dielectric properties too, right? It has everything has a dielectric property, and so looking at that,
Electrical properties.
Yeah, think of it as electrical properties. That would be sort of the simplest version of it. And we were talking about levels of it. I don't know how much of that is in someone's brain, or when it's on a good day or a bad day. But imagine if you could measure that. And that's what we're working on, is being able to image anything in your body. And with millimeter scale resolution. That's what we're working on. We think probably some of the areas we're going to work on first are actually head imaging. The head's a heterogeneous environment. It's got lots of stuff in it. The reason
some more than others.
Yeah, some more than others. That's right. Two areas that we're interested in looking at. One is traumatic brain injury. The reason that may be for us the low-hanging fruit of medical imaging, because when you have brain bleeding, for example, the dielectric properties of human blood are actually very different than everything else in your body, substantially different. So if we can measure it, knowing that that's there, knowing that there's a brain bleed. So that may be the low-hanging fruit. The aspirational piece, everyone wants to have an aspirational part of it. There were scientists in 2019 in Scotland that went to their brain bank and took brain tissue and measured the dielectric properties. This is all outside the body, right? They're taking samples with what are called coaxial probes, so they're sticking it on it. And they determined that people that had Alzheimer's, the dielectric properties of the human tissue, of the gray matter and the white matter, are substantially different from healthy brain tissue. So the aspirational piece is, imagine if you could, from outside the body, look inside the body, into the brain, and potentially do that. And that's that's an aspirational piece. So we're orienting a lot of our activity towards head imaging, breast imaging, as areas.
So it's a safer, more accurate image.
And a fraction
of the cost, more portable, mobile.
Yeah.
And what's the downside and what's your timeline?
So there are 5 of us in Waltham. Those of you that are from here, we're heads down in a lab, right? We work on this, day in and day out. So it's very early. So we haven't been through entrepreneurial businesses. We don't know what we don't know yet.
Yep.
So are there risks? We don't even know what they are yet. I suspect that disruptive technologies like this, that you see them, there's a whole world order on medical imaging. I went to the RSNA conference, which is the Radiological Society of North America. It's every year in Chicago in November. It's kind of like this massive industry. It's $38 billion a year based upon expensive machines
They're going to be really
and
happy
super
to have you
tests.
come,
And
huh?
so, you want to find a way to fit into the world,
Yeah.
right? And
Pick your spot.
And pick a spot and figure out how to do it. So
Well-
it's very cool. So if people are interested in it, I'd be happy to show people around our lab out in Waltham. It's mind-blowing. When you think with a milliwatt of energy, you can look inside an object and see what's inside.
Without the risk of poisoning
Yeah.
and radiation.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that with
Yeah.
us, Eric. We're going to root for you. Please bother Eric during the breaks and
Sure.
find out more and maybe get on his list. We can keep track of what you're doing.
Thank you.